Live only on DAZN. The Ring 6, Teofimo Lopez, the Brooklyn-born king of 140, looks to retain his world title as Shakur Stevenson steps up to become a 4-division world champion. Lopez versus Stevenson, January 31st. Click the link in the description to buy now.
Muratalla vs. Cruz was a hell of a fight that we all enjoyed. They both had success and the fight could have went either way in my opinion. Beyond the X's and O's of the fight, which once again we covered very well in a pre-fight film study on Patreon, it feels more important to explain something rarely talked about. Hit and not get hit is not the hurt game, and a pro fighter shouldn't conflate the two. While hit and not get hit is the basic definition of boxing, the hurt game is many people's interpretation of pro boxing, and it threatens to break the whole notion of hit and not get hit with single hard punches. At a high level, hit and not get hit works well, but has to be clean enough to influence the judge's natural biases. Boxing is fought in exchanges, but it's interpreted in memory. Judges and spectators don't experience a round as a perfect timeline. The brain compresses and edits. It anchors on moments. It prioritizes clean pictures. This matters because boxing is scored by humans and humans are biased. So what was happening beneath the surface in Muratalla vs. Cruz was not a technical failure, it was a perceptual shift. When Andy stayed true to hit and not get hit, the exchanges produced clean pictures. The Cuban amateur system was on full display. He landed first, exited, and Muratalla missed or reset. Those moments fed directly into availability and recall bias. Judges remember what is easiest to retrieve, and what is easiest to retrieve are exchanges with clear cause and effect, land, then leave, then miss. Even light punches register as control when the visual story is simple and uninterrupted. Recency bias amplified this effect. When Andy ended exchanges cleanly, the final image the brain stored was Andy succeeding. That ending overwrote whatever happened earlier in the exchange. The score wasn't coming from damage, it was coming from clarity at resolution. The bias stack was working for him.
Andy Cruz constantly moving.
But when Andy abandoned that structure and stayed in equal positioning, the bias stack flipped. Once exchanges extended, Muratalla's heavier shots activated negativity bias. The human brain prioritizes perceived threat over accuracy. The single harder punch inside a trade weighs more in memory than two lighter, cleaner shots that came earlier. Even if Andy technically landed more, the emotional weight of Muratalla's punches reframed the exchange. This is where recall bias finished the job. Judges don't replay exchanges punch by punch. They recall impressions, and impressions favor impact over nuance. The moment Andy's system allowed Muratalla to land visibly harder shots at the end or middle of exchanges, while Andy also continued to be the only one backing up and backing out those heavy exchanges, those moments began to dominate memory, even if Andy was still boxing better in a technical sense. Nothing changed about Andy's skill. What changed was which biases the structure was feeding. Hit and not get hit works at the professional level only when it produces outcomes that align with human perception. Once Andy blurred the picture and allowed the fight to enter the hurt game, he surrendered narrative control. At that point, boxing stopped being interpreted as control and started being interpreted as danger. And danger always wins the memory war.
That's what gets the attention. Cruz didn't like those body shots right there, and now the round swinging towards Muratalla.
And again, Muratalla touching the body. Cruz back on the back foot again.
There we go. See that? Those are shots right there. Even though nothing landed cleanly, that digging to the body. Close round that you're forced to give the round to whoever's being active, whoever's trying to dig.
And then Cruz determined to get it back. That's what you want to see from your fighter. He's going to try and sit down on some of these punches. Nice left to the jaw from Cruz. Muratalla answers back with a sweeping left hand to go.
I would hate to be a judge in this fight.
By majority decision, and still the IBF lightweight champion of the world, Raymond Danger Muratalla.
By the way, 118-110 was wild, man. For more on the subject, plus everything else I've learned about boxing in these 2 decades of studying film, then 3 years at this point of working with coaches and fighters, look out for my upcoming book that should drop around spring/summer 2026. Announcements will be made here and on Patreon. Peace. Fight fam. Boxing is called the sweet science for a reason. Every slip, every counter, every trap, it's all hidden in the details. At Boxing Gems, we break down those details frame by frame so fans can see the art behind the fight. If you enjoy our YouTube film studies and want to go deeper down the rabbit hole, Patreon is the place. It helps us keep producing high-quality breakdowns without worrying about algorithms, and it gives you exclusive access to the content that can't make it on the YouTube. Get extended live stream breakdowns with more detail and analysis. Ask your own questions in the 24/7 chats, decide what fights or fighters we cover, and get personalized private analysis. Your support means we can keep studying the sport we love and showing why boxing is the most beautiful science. Join the Boxing Gems community on Patreon, and let's keep breaking down the fight game together. This is Ryan, professional boxing analyst and founder of Boxing Gems Film Study. Film don't lie.